On a nasty day where once again we felt like our market was totally at the mercy of Europe's financial hostage negotiations with Greece, I think it's worth remembering that individual companies are capable of taking control of their own destiny. With that in mind, I want to highlight one of the most impressive turnaround stories of our era, if not the most impressive turnaround. I'm talking about Carnival, CCL, the world's largest cruise line, and a company that suffered from a series of unfortunate events over the past few years. Costa Concordia tragedy 2012, Triumph incident where one of their engine rooms caught fire in 2013, and the Ebola scare on one of their ships last October. Yet, after all these negative circumstances, Carnival is now going strong, recently reporting sharply better than expected numbers. The company's done an excellent job of repairing its image, including its latest initiative, which is a social impact cruise line that we got to talk about. It's called Fathom. Carnival launched it just today. Volunteers who want to do good can both take a vacation and serve communities in need. How fabulous is that? A brilliant move, given that nobody else with any real scale is addressing this niche market, which is why I want to check in with Arnold. He's the president and CEO of Carnival Cruise. He took over in 2013. He's masterminded this entire turn. Get a better sense of where his company's headed. Mr. Donald, welcome to Mad Money. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Jim. Delighted to be with you.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to give you the floor because the turnaround of Carnival Corporation is probably maybe what we'll be studying in business school for many years. Just give me a couple of steps that made it happen.
Very simply, we started with a great company. So we had a fantastic foundation. And then after that, it's just aligning our 9 brands at the time. Right. Today, we announced the 10th. But our 9 brands around common objectives and having them communicate, collaborate, and coordinate with each other. And then we have to change the image of cruising, which we've been doing in multiple ways, including being on shows like this.
Well, I have to tell you, when I looked at your company and I read about the scale of it, and we see whether it be mattresses, whether it be the 250,000 ships, I was thinking with 101 ships, are you bigger than the U.S. Navy?
You know, that's a good question. I never compared numbers of ships, but I doubt it. I think the Navy probably has a few more ships than we do.
At the same time, though, that you've been able to use the coordinated buying power, be able to cut costs at the same time as, because of the popularity, raise ticket prices, which is really the holy grail of what investment's about.
Absolutely. Our goal is to deliver a double-digit return on invested capital in the next 3 to 4 years. The path to that is definitely through revenue growth. That's yield, ticket yield on board, as well as on-board revenues. Give the guests more of what they want. Our key to doing that is to exceed guest expectations. If we exceed our guest expectations, they'll tell everybody about cruising, and that's what we need. And there's no more powerful marketing tool than word of mouth.
Well, let's talk about the marketing and also about big data. I was impressed that you've done a canvas of your customers, and you have millions of pieces of data and 10 billion impressions in an ad campaign? How's that possible?
Yes. Yeah, well, the Super Bowl ad campaign, I gave the team the task. We want to win before the ad ever runs. So we put something together, and we had 5 billion impressions before the TV spot ever ran. And then after it ran, we had another 5 billion. So we ended up with about 10 billion impressions. And all we need to do is get people talking about cruising. Cruising is the greatest vacation value there is, and arguably the greatest vacation experience there.
Well, the greatest bargain, absolutely right. Now, I want to talk to you about something that I thought was really important with this Fathom initiative today. I think that there is a generational gap necessarily between who might be interested in cruising, and there's also a generational gap between a group of younger people, millennials, who are not just happy having a great time. They want to have more than that. So talk about this initiative, because I thought this was just brilliant, actually.
Yeah, well, Fathom is our newest brand. It's targeted, it's focused initially on one ship of 700-plus passengers going to the northern part of the Dominican Republic, the Puerto Plata area, where we actually have a destination we've developed, Amber Cove. But the purpose here is to work alongside impact makers in the Dominican Republic. These are organizations that have a long track record of success of transforming communities in the Dominican Republic. You can do things like develop water filters, work with a collective and produce additional cocoa, allowing that collective to be financially strong enough to hire more people. Teach English to young people, totally transformational. It lifts them out of poverty, and to older people as well.
Well,
go ahead.
I got to ask you that because it seemed like with your background, I was able to watch a very good local TV program about you in New Orleans, and I know the area because my daughter goes to Tulane. Oh, you're a Bootstraps guy yourself.
Yeah, I am. I grew up very poor. It's a typical American story, very poor. But my mom and dad believed in education, and education is the port of prosperity, meaning fullness of life and prosperity. And they insisted myself and my 4 siblings and the 27 foster kids that they took care of over time, all focused on education, and so it paid off for me.
Education is the first couple days of the Fathom cruise, right?
Exactly. We emphasize education and immersion. The cruise is as much for enrichment of the traveler as it is for ultimately the impact. But the two together produces a transformative effect, both for the traveler and for the community.
On your most recent conference call, you talked about how on board, which is really important, these additional, some of the additional charges, basically, that people incur because they want some accoutrements. But you said a lot of this is the economy's getting better. So you're seeing what looks like maybe a worldwide uplift to some degree.
You know, we are seeing an uplift in our business, even in economies where it's not better. And part of that is because of the 120,000 dedicated, passionate employees I have and how they continue to engineer things to exceed the guest expectations and, frankly, just give the guests what they want. If you give the guests, they're on vacation. If you give them what they want on board, they'll buy it. And so we just have to understand our guests, and that's back to your data mining, your big data conversation, and then the market segmentation work we do.
Okay, some of the, I think people are struck, you have $6 billion in costs. Some of it's oil, some of it is production, but you've managed to be able to cut back dramatically the amount of oil you use since you took over. How is that possible? Also in water filtration, which I thought was incredible.
Yeah, well, in fact, on the fuel consumption, that happened well before I came. So since 2007, and we're continuing it, we've reduced consumption by 25%. Of the fuel consumption. And then we've added, this year I added a number of dry dock days, or our team did, to install additional fuel conservation technologies, some of which is hotel things like LED lighting, and some of which, of course, are fine tuning engines and whatnot to burn more efficiently. But the bottom line is fuel is a big cost, but the $6 billion is non-fuel and non-people. It's things like you mentioned. We buy 250,000 pair of shoes a year for our crew. We're the 5th largest purchaser of airline travel in the world, and our brands had never coordinated in those purchases. They had independently done it all, and so it's been a big opportunity for us. But the key for us, Jim, is to drive yield. Yield is how we're going to get to double-digit return on invested capital, and we know the key to that is exceeding guest expectations.
And it seems like just recently, the whole trend has been up, from what I can tell. The sales have been up, the onboard's up, and that the tone of business is terrific for you guys.
Yeah, as we reported in the last quarter, because I can't give you a tone
I know, I'm trying. I have to try. You know that.
As we reported in the quarterly earnings report, yes, things are looking very good. There's always challenges out there. The world is never perfect. Fuel prices come down, but the dollar gets a lot stronger, and so you get hit with that. There's geopolitical tensions. You can't sail to certain regions. Some higher yielding itineraries are not available to you. It happens every year in, year out. Despite that, our task, our mission, double-digit return on invested capital in the next 3 to 4 years.
Well, I want to congratulate you on the textbook turn that most people didn't think could happen, frankly, because of the instance. Obviously, they're in the past. The future looks bright. Arnold Donald, he's the president and CEO of Carnival Cruise, Carnival Corporation, I should make that clear. And they have 10 lines now, including Fathom. Go to the website. You might be inspired by Fathom. You might want to take the trip. Stay with Cramer. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.